Good morning. Those of you who are here a little bit early, we got a warm-up for you. This might be new for you. It's by Melissa Philippe. I know that God loves me. It's one verse, and you sing it again, and you sing it again. So if you're ready, sing along with us. I know that God loves me. I have all that I need. My eyes are open and now I see. I let go and I am free. That's how it is. I know that God loves me. I have all that I need. My eyes are open and now I see. I let go and I am free. I know that God loves me. I have all that I need. My eyes are open and now I see. I let go and I am free. One more time. I know that God loves me. I have all that I need. My eyes are open and now I see. I let go and I am free. Sing that last line. I let go and I am free. One more time. I let go and I am free. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. Now we're ready to start our official services. So if you are willing and able, please rise and join us singing Karen Drucker's God is My Source. Let's get funky, right? God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Do that again. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. One more time. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. Thank you very much.
My name is Carl Jansen, and I want to welcome you this beautiful Sunday morning to Unity of Walnut Creek. Please join me in turning to the camera and saying hello to our friends at home. Your presence to our spiritual community, we really appreciate you. I invite you to turn off your cell phones or turn them to silence at this time as we enjoy this sacred service time together. Our minister, Reverend Kristen Powell, will be our speaker this morning. And our song leaders are Lisa, Keith, and Michelle. And our featured performer is Annie Love de Villiers. Thank you. Joined by our band, Dave, Brian, and Dan. Thank you for sharing your music with us. We really appreciate it, as you know. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. At Unity of Walnut Creek, our mission is, in loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. I invite you to join me in affirming our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. If you are new with us for the first time and are comfortable doing so, we invite you to raise your hand now. Newcomers. So we may bring you a welcome packet. If you would rather, you may pick up your packet at our welcome table, which is outside on the plaza. And there is a connection card in your packet. Please take it to the bookstore and receive a gift. And for everyone, the connection cards are available in the seat packets in front of you. And with this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer chaplains will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback with us on these cards. You may, if you want to request information, our staff will respond to you during the week, during office hours, and the ushers will receive the cards along with our offering later in the service. Now please take a moment to greet the people immediately near you.
Keep on
do. Brings back my youth. I have a few announcements, brief announcements today. Our summer series of classes are in session. We start the week with spiritual sign language and continue to the divine with soul language at the end of the week with Kundalini dance meditation. These classes are a lighthearted way to deepen our spiritual connections and a great way to kick off the summer. Come celebrate with us the longest day of the year on June 21st. Coming up, getting longer now. Whoop, almost there. Reverend Kristen will guide us in a summer solstice ritual to help us acknowledge the light within and all around us. Sign up for this fun play date online or in the book center. Reverend Denise Schnellick will be here in 2 weeks to help us transform. Yeah, for Denise. Everybody knows what Denise has meant to this congregation over the last year or two. She will work with us to help transform our lives with the Q process. I know some of you have taken this before, but you can always come back, and it was really helpful to me, I know that, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. The Q process helps us shift how we see things and deeply understand that there is no one and nothing against us. Please register online or in the book center. Please take a close look in today's bulletins for details on these and other activities. And now I'd like to invite Reverend Kristen to the lectern.
Well, hi. Oh, it's so nice to be in a community of love. You can do anything, right? Just be loved. Just be here. Yes. Oh, thank you. It's good to be back. So has anybody ever been in a situation where you could use a little assistance? Like, it'd be great if somebody cooked you a meal or gave you a ride. Yeah, right? So we have this wonderful new care network that has been set up under the leadership of Annie Love, who's singing today. And thank you, Annie. And actually it comes out of her Hope group from when we did the fall study series, the Hope last fall. Anyway, we've got a few people that are really happy that our care network is getting into shape because they are all recovering from different situations, surgeries mostly, and also our own Bobby Bader, who's back here after a few days of having been in a car accident in Boston. She is a walking miracle. She walked in and everybody said, "Oh my gosh, Bobby's here." So yes. And being a true prayer chaplain, she told me she was praying with her roommate in Boston in the hospital. So we are so grateful, Bobby, that you have made it home safely and that you are recovering. And Bobby is on the list for some of those who are asking for some support with meals. So also Lavon Martel had a pretty big surgery a couple weeks ago, and her husband is also ill, so we're asking for some support for them. And Charles Nettles, who was here at the early service and is also a prayer chaplain, recently had a surgery and is still looking for meal support. So how you can support us today is if you're willing to make a meal and drop it off at one of these beautiful Souls homes. We have all the information on the patio, and Annie will be there to answer your questions and get you set up on the meal train. It's actually quite fun. You get to meet and greet and be of service and make a greater, deeper connection in our community. So we celebrate with all these souls in their recovery and give thanks for them. That was just for effect, apparently. I don't know what I think should come there, but it must be something. So CL is our prayer chaplain coordinator, and she's going to begin us with a prayer reading into our meditation time. Annie's also going to sing us in. So we invite you to remove anything from your lap if you wish, and just to prepare for this time of meditation.
Faith. My desire for something greater is fueled by my faith in unlimited possibilities. New Thought pioneer H. Emily Cady once wrote, "Desire in the heart is always God tapping at the door of your consciousness with infinite supply, a supply which is forever useless unless there is a demand for it. When I desire to reach a goal, I do so with faith that divine life is tapping at the door of my consciousness, urging me onward and upward to my highest good. I release worries or concerns, knowing, as a spiritual being, I already have all that I could ever need for an abundant and fulfilling life. My desire for something greater is fueled by my faith in unlimited possibilities. I follow where divine inspiration leads. Go. Let it be done for you according to your faith. Matthew 8:13.
I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith. I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith. When I trust and I let go, I know that all is well. When I trust and I let go, I know that all is well. I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith. I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith.
So we allow that truth that has just been sung to land fully in our minds and our hearts. I am faith. Over and over, when faced with a decision, we choose faith. We choose to align with that which we are. And a knowing that anything is possible. That we ourselves are channels from the source that makes the invisible visible, the seeming impossible possible. And as we open to the full power of our faith, as we turn on our power of faith, activate it, miracles happen before our eyes. Bodies are healed. Minds are opened and at peace. Relationships are harmonized. Finances turn abundant once again. With every breath, we are reminded that we are in the infinite flow, that God truly is our source, and that we are sourced as a part of that wholeness of spirit. So we go to that place that faith is located in the body, in the middle of the head, between the ears and between the eyes and the back of the head, right there in the center. Suspended in the center of openness is the light of faith. So let us place our attention there now, activating that power of faith. It's the color of royal blue. And you might see that blue in the light. And so whatever you've come with today, whether it be a challenge or an opportunity in mind, place it in this center, in this faith center, and watch how the light activates your faith, supports your opportunity, breaks down your challenge, and brings you back to the knowing that all is well. And so we rest our attention here and we continue to break down our challenges and uplift our opportunities. We take a few moments in this silence, either actively working with this faith principle or simply resting in the peace that passes all understanding in the silence. I have the faith to move mountains. I have the faith to make miracles. And so it is.
I have faith. I pray faith. I choose faith. I am faith. We're going to take a little break here and change songs. Because I have faith. Let's start the service over. Okay, we'll start in the middle. This song is very apropos. What would I do today if I could not fail? If I believed with the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What would I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where fools and dreamers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step will I take today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could ask anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of the seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I step? Sing with me. What step would I do? I lost my place. What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today, thank you, if I were brave? If I refuse to listen, we're going to do that part now. Refuse to listen to the voice of fear with the voice of courage. Whisper in my ear. Maybe this is what I'd hear. I am brave enough to move ahead where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step will I take today? I am brave. Now join with us. And we can do it together.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all for being brave. I was going to ask you, what would you do today if you were brave, but you already are. So our work is done here, and let's have some snacks. But truly, what are you holding in your life? What is it that you are holding when we sang that, we went to, if I were brave, and then I am brave? What is that leap? What is it that is present for you now in your heart, in your mind, in your life right now? Is there some kind of intention? Is there some opportunity or challenge before you? I invite you to just take a moment, close your eyes perhaps, drop into your heart and just see, what is my intention? What is it that I really want to bring forth right now in the world? Or what is it that's facing me now that I really want to meet with great faith, with bravery? And then to come back to that chorus that you just sang, I am brave, I have faith, I am faith. This is happening. This is unfolding, whatever it is, that intention that you're holding. You know, the truth is we have all the faith we ever needed. We often talk about faith as if it's something that we lose and then find and lose and then find. And I guess in a way that's true, that there's a relative sense of that. But we always come in with the full load of faith, right? All that we could need. And it's just a matter of then tapping it. It's a matter of opening to it, unveiling it, that which is secreted from us, that we've hidden from ourselves, essentially. And so it's just an opening to it. So it's all there. It's not like I have to develop it because it's not there yet. It's like I have to unveil it. I have to unearth it. And really, isn't that true with the whole spiritual path? You know, when we talk about transformation, I've started to get a little bit away from that word because even though it's powerful, it's about getting back to who we are. It's about authenticity. It's about the true self being unveiled. So really, it's usually a process of just letting go of the stuff that is covering up what is already here in truth. And the same is true with this power of faith. We have the power of faith to meet any challenge that comes our way. We have the power of faith to co-create any opportunity or make any seemingly impossible thing possible through the power of our faith. It's something that we partner with other powers to co-create, the power of understanding, the power of imagination, for example, that help us then force together those two powers to allow the fullness of our faith to be known. So as you may know, faith is one of the 12 powers that were identified in Unity's early teachings. Actually, it started way back. Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was known as the teacher of teachers, she taught all the New Thought folks who then went on to spawn different New Thought denominations under the larger umbrella of New Thought. I guess you could call us different sects of the denomination of New Thought. So Unity being one of them, Centers for Spiritual Living, Divine Science, for example, and so on. And so Emma Curtis Hopkins was Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's teacher, our co-founders in Unity. And she came up with this idea of the 12 jewels of mysticism. And then one of her students, Annie Ricks Millets, came up with the idea that those 12 jewels actually were associated with the 12 different disciples in the order in which they were called. And then Charles Fillmore later wrote the book, The 12 Powers of Man, which has been since renamed just The 12 Powers. And in it, he located the 12 powers in different areas of the body. You probably know the Fillmores studied the Eastern religions quite a bit. That's why you can see that Eastern religious influence in our spiritual teachings. The idea of the divine within, the realized self, and the 7 chakras, right? So the 7 chakras are very much, there's some similarities with the 12 powers and the 7 chakras and where Charles Fillmore found them located in the body through his meditative research. And so faith, as I mentioned in the meditation, is in the middle of the head, so very close to the crown chakra and close to the third eye, which is the power of imagination, which we'll talk about in another Sunday. We're going to study the 12 powers through the whole summer. So this is our launch of our 12 Powers series. And And then later, another Unity student came up with the idea that the 12 powers were associated with colors. So the color of faith is like a royal blue, like what I'm wearing today. And I see several people went to hug me. Barbara went to hug me and said, "Oh, you got the memo." And I said, "Yes, I did." And you did too. So this is a color you can work with too, as you're becoming more and more aware and expanding this power, activating this power of faith to work with the royal blue color. So you might want to, just bring royal blue objects that you have into your altar space or your prayer space, or you might want to do some painting or drawing in that color. Imagine that color in your meditation time, bring it in, and you can imagine that light in the middle of your mind where faith has been located, and just work with that as bringing in the blue into that, the royal blue into that, and just see how that opens, that activates and opens and bolsters and allows you to see a fuller expression of your faith in the world. So faith and the 12 powers are, as you can see, there were several people involved, spiritual teachers that were really on the self-realization path that tapped into this. Charles Fillmore wanted to always go further. I mean, that's the beauty of our founders and their essence, right? They always wanted to go as far as you could possibly go in a lifetime in tapping the ultimate powers, the ultimate self-realization. So the idea of the 12 powers is that as you activate each one and you lift up all together with all 12, there is he places at the crown the I am, the Christ consciousness or the divine consciousness, that there is a realization of the fullness of who we are through activating each of these powers. And many of them have sort of partnerships with one another. So faith often partners with imagination or with understanding others that are located in the head area. So then there's 12 powers, and there's something to the number 12. 12 in Hebrew numerology means spiritual completion. So there's a sense of wholeness and completion. And as you begin to think of 12, there are 12 of so many. In mundane life, 12 is a dozen. There's 12 eggs and 12 signs of the zodiac and 12 months in the year and 12 inches in a foot. And then there's sort of more spiritual. There's 12 meridian lines in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, 12 primary meridian lines, and that means meridians of qi or energy that flow through the body. So there's also biblically, there's the 12 fruits on the tree of life in Revelation. There's the 12 gates of New Jerusalem. So 12 does seem to have a kind of hold on us. There's 12-step programs that many have gotten much out of, right? Yeah, so, somehow we love 12, from the very sacred to the very mundane to the very practical and everywhere in between. We have a kind of natural understanding of that as a sense of completion, a sense of fullness, a sense of wholeness. And so Jesus also talked about the 12 disciples having 12 thrones. And so you can think of these, if you want, you can think of these power centers as being enthroned. So it's like faith is enthroned in the middle of the mind. Imagination is enthroned at the third eye. Love is enthroned back of the heart. It's divine love, and so on. And we'll go through them as we go. So I want to spend a little more time, obviously, with faith today. So the disciple that is represented, and later actually Letty Hammock also added the 12 women of the chalice, 12 powerful female figures of the Bible that are associated with the 12 powers. For faith, it's Elizabeth, who you remember was told that she was going to have a child very late in her years. So you can imagine that would take a little faith, right? To say, excuse me, I'm what? And to walk through that process. So Peter was the disciple who you can see, this is what I love about Peter being named Faith, because you can see his evolution of faith. He wasn't always, he didn't just come in, just, okay, I got it, I figured it out, I'm totally aligned, I'm open, I'm activated in faith. He, like the rest of us, remembered and forgot, stepped back on the path, stepped back off the path, He doubted at times. But he was also one who would try things, and he really believed in what Jesus was bringing. He believed in this kind of Christ consciousness, and he believed and wanted himself to realize it too. So there was you could see that desire and that longing as well. And so he, you remember the scene where he walks on water, because Jesus is walking on water toward the disciples. They're all in this boat, and the winds are wild, and the boat is wild, and the disciples are all in a tizzy. And here comes Jesus, cool as a cucumber, walking across the water. And Peter sees him, and he's invites Peter out, and Peter's like, oh gosh, I want to, but it's that feeling like, I want to, I think I can, like the little engine that could. And he steps out, and he does. He walks on water a few steps. And then what happens is he looks down. And he looks down and sees, what are my feet doing on top of the water? It's like that kind of suddenly the impossible couldn't possibly be. And in his doubt, he sinks. And then what happens after he sinks? Charles Fillmore is really poetic here, the way he describes what happens. He says, Peter began to walk on the water in spiritual faith, but when he saw the effects of the wind, he was afraid and he began to sink. And then the I am. So Jesus' representation of the consciousness of the I am reaches out its hand and pulls him back up, right? And he gives his hand of spiritual power, and the wind ceases, and there is no longer any doubt of faith's ability to rise above negative consciousness. And so isn't that what happens on our journey? We're walking along, we're feeling good. It's like, I'm going to manifest this. This is going great. Things are really rolling. And then suddenly we look down, we sink into a kind of negative consciousness, or we fall into a place of doubt or fear, and as soon as we get there, we sink. As soon as we get to that place, we sink. I once did one of those crazy things where you walk across 1800-degree Fahrenheit coals, the walk across fire. Some of you just raised your hand, you've done it too, yeah. Oh, several of you. Maybe we should do it here. Not today. Okay, just not today. If I were brave, what would I do today? So one of the instructions was, when you walk across these coals, after you walk, don't look at your feet. Don't be tempted to go home and be looking at your feet for the blisters, right? And they said, if you look, you will get a blister. If you don't look, you won't get a blister. So sure enough, it happened. I did walk across the coals with all my friends, and it was amazing to think that we could do that. And I have to say, I didn't walk, I didn't saunter. It was a pretty quick skip. And I did go home, and I couldn't resist, and I looked at my feet, and I did end up getting one blister. But considering my feet were flat on 1800-degree coals for many steps, I consider one blister all right, So this is our process, though, isn't it? That I love that they told us that. Don't look, because if you look, you'll get the blister. And it's the same thing. Don't look, Peter. Don't look down. Look at the Christ. Look at the I am. Look at the consciousness that you are. Look at the divine. Lift up your eyes, Jesus said, and you will see that the fields are already ripe for harvest. It's not like someday, and it's not like if only I could get this or that, or have that skill, or have this money, or that time, or, our zillion excuses for why it is we can't activate the full power of our faith and all of these powers so that we can be the realized I am that we came here to be. See, there's music, it's getting you going. Oh, it was a nice, if we're going to play a ringtone, that was a good one for that moment. Thank you, whoever did that. It was right on cue. So it's in walking toward our goals, whatever that is that maybe you caught wind of today, just in the few moments that we've worked with this idea of some kind of intention that's present today in your heart in your mind, whether it be walking through a challenge to the bright light on the other side, or walking forward in a great opportunity of greater realization for yourself, a greater sense of being, or something you want to create on the earth in a substantial, physical way. Perhaps you're wanting to launch something new in your career, or in your service, in your relationships, or bring forth a new relationship or a home. God only knows. In this room, there are a zillion things that are in the heart of heart's desire that wants to be manifested, right? And so it is with the power of faith that we begin. So Peter is the disciple associated with faith, and he's the first one called for a reason. Because faith is that power that sort of undergirds all the rest. It's the foundation that says, I can. It's the foundation that says, I'm confident. It's the foundation that says, I know with a sense of knowing in my heart something that can't always be explained. It's not always, it's not just a mental construct. Charles Fillmore said that faith always precedes science. It's cast out before science. It has to, right? Because we have to be the dreamers and the believers and the ones that hold the possibility so that then science comes along and proves it so, right? What did we believe for years as a humanity? The earth is flat. The earth is flat. We all believe the earth is flat. And then somebody somewhere must have said, I have a sense the earth is round. And there was some faith, and then everybody probably thought that person was crazy, right? But pretty soon some more people started to realize or feel and sense, oh no, there's something here. There's a principle of gravity. There's a sense of possibility that we could all be kind of held here on this big round blue beautiful planet. And so then, science catches up and says, yes, indeed, it's true that the earth is round. So that's kind of the way we move in our evolution, that we activate it. Peter's trajectory is much like ours in that his name Simon, which is what his name was when he was just a common fisherman, called to be a part of this ministry, called to follow his spiritual path in a new conscious way. His name Simon meant hearing. It was kind of a listening, right? I'm listening to the voice of what I'm being called into. Anybody ever listen to that voice, that spiritual voice, that intuition, that call, that guidance? Did it turn out for you? Yeah. Anybody not listen before? How did that go for you? Right. We all know, right, how it works, right? So until the old saying used to be when we get hit with a spiritual 2x4, then we go, oh yeah, this isn't working so well. Maybe I should listen to that guidance. And so it's the listening initially to the call, and that's what Simon did. And then as he evolved in the ministry and in his time with this spiritual master, this teacher, Jesus then renamed him Peter, which comes from Petra. It means rock. So he grew into, he opened to and activated his faith in such a way that he was seen then as the faithful one. And so we too are kind of on that trajectory, aren't we? That, it's kind of like when you come into new teachings. Maybe for those of you who came into Unity later in life, there aren't too many of us that grew up in Unity. And there may have been a time when, you came to this place, or to new teachings anyway, and there was a listening, there was a call, there was something that got you here. And then there was a sense of along that path, or sort of these stepping stones to how we develop that faith, that there was both the listening, but then there was a movement toward the belief. So the listen, you can't see really clearly on my screen. Oh, you can see it up here. But then there was belief, right? So then there was a challenge maybe to your beliefs, but there was a sense of examining your beliefs. So maybe you grew up like I did in the Lutheran church, where God was sort of this distant, figure, kind of a personified idea of the figure, at least of my childhood, and definitely an outside of me kind of realm. And then coming into Unity and learning, oh my gosh, this idea of the big self, the self with the big S, right? The idea that the divine is within us, that we are of this, that we are of that same essence. At first was like, oh, isn't that sort of blasphemy that we could be like these spiritual teachers? And then to come into the realization, now there's a resonance here though. So there's a process, right, as we examine our beliefs. But that's still a mental construct. We're still not yet quite at faith. We're getting there. We're moving toward it, but it's still just a process of sort of unpacking beliefs and repacking new beliefs and finding where there is that real essence of resonance for us. And then there's trust. Trust is a kind of faith, again, but it's not still quite there. Trust is like the time I went rock climbing, and the only time I went rock climbing, and and the instructor is down below. This is at Yosemite on Half Dome, and he says, "Put your foot up on that rock." And I was like, okay, now do you mean the pebble that is above my head? I don't really see how that's going to be feasible, you know? So, and I remember my body just kind of trembling with the, you know, the idea of trying to put my foot up there and then trusting that my foot would get there and that my body could actually move with it. And of course, you know, they've got you kind of down below with the cords and everything. So there's also trusting the equipment and trusting the belayer and trusting the whole process, right? So it's trust. There still wasn't faith. There was some trust involved there. Charles Fillmore says it this way. He says, trust is like a cheaper brand of faith. He says that merely trusting in spirit, you're not quite there yet. You got to like compare or bring it in with the power of understanding. And with understanding, then we affirm the presence and the power of God until the very substance of spirit appears in consciousness. And this is faith. So he's really stretching us into what is this thing we call faith. It's not just a relative thing about what I believe or who I trust or how I trust or trusting even in spirit or God, but it's bigger and it's deeper than that. It's proactive, it's active, it's a calling forth, it's a claiming, it's a knowing, it's an affirming, it's a praying on that kind of rock solid space. So you start maybe with that spark of faith that you have within you, that basic knowing, or maybe you would say, okay, well, I have a sense of knowing in my heart that there is something greater than, you know, just what I can see physically in the world, that there is a greater energy, that there is an essence of, I might call it love or light or spirit, but there's something there that seems to be an unseen power. Most of us in this room probably resonate with that. Not all necessarily, but probably a lot of people in this room do. And that's something that some of us feel so strongly in that we could say, you know, I've got a sense of knowing in my heart. Like that's something I'd really kind of, what the saying is, go to the wall for, you know. That's something I would stand on strong and not waver from, is the idea that there is something greater than can be seen. There is a greater power. And so then it's applying then, when you feel that, when you can get a sense of that, those things that you believe that feel like they're a little bit unprovable or not fully seen in the physical world, and you can stand in those places, then you've got it. You've got the essence of faith. And all we have to do then is to take that knowing and that feeling and step it out into whatever it is we're creating. Or take the experience of the times when you have felt really confident about something that you just, you know, you don't even think about. Probably the kind of traits that your best friends would say about you, you know, oh, he is just like the kindest person, or she is just filled with compassion, or you know, he's just a get-her-done guy, you know, just really, you know. And so you know these things about yourself. You know what your gifts are. You know, and you don't think about those things because they come so naturally to you. And so where it is in your life where you're having maybe a little more challenge or a little more difficulty, and you take feeling, that knowing of, oh yeah, when I'm in my compassion, I mean, that just flows from me. It's so easy for me to give and to be present. I don't even think about it. But boy, when I step over here into my finances, I'm thinking like, how do I do that same kind of giving and receiving that I can do so well when I'm hugging somebody or listening or providing a meal? You know, so it's like, it's harnessing the energy and the feeling and the power of that and bringing it forward. And that's faith, really. It's a foundation of the knowing that we know. You know, the knowing that we know without a doubt, the thing that comes so naturally to us. So as we break apart our faith, as we, kind of look at it from these that might be there. I think he's got it. John, did we lose battery or something? Okay. It's okay. Test, test. There we go. Okay. Well, when I try to talk with both hands, I might drop the mic, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks. So there's always people we can look to that can inspire us. There's no shortage, right, of amazing souls in our lifetimes and the lifetimes that come before. And so it's important too that we don't do the separation game. Oh, well, he or she did that, but it's just little old me, but that we recognize that anything that can be done, these things I have done, greater things will you do, said a spiritual master one time. And so it is knowing this truth for ourselves as well. Is this one okay? Are we fully on? Oh, okay, good. I knew something happened. Thank you. So it's just knowing that. And it reminds me of when Roger Ebert, who was with the Chicago Sun-Times for a very long time as a film critic, and he's still around, I believe. Is he still around, Roger Ebert? Yeah. Yes, no, we don't know. No, Tyler's saying absolutely not. Okay, I knew Gene Siskel did, but I wasn't sure about Roger Ebert. So anyway, he talks about Nelson Mandela and the photographs of the prison where he was for the last 17 years of his over time 30-year prison sentence. And you see this, tiny little bed and these thin blankets, and that's the place, this tiny cell, that's where he was for 17 years. And he emerges from that kind of, I imagine, abuse, negativity, all kinds of stuff that was directed at him for all that time. And during that time, what he did to keep himself strong is one of the many things I'm sure he did, was he recited this poem every day, Invictus, that ends with, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So in other words, anything that happens to me, outside of me, cannot hurt this. This divine consciousness, this I am, this faith that I am, cannot be rattled or shaken because I'm the master of my own faith. I'm the captain of my own soul. And that is the I am, the capital, the divine essence, the truth. Nelson Mandela knew something about that. He had to have known something about that to emerge from that kind of treatment and that kind of experience to be president of South Africa, right? Anything is possible. Who would have thought that could happen? Even when you hear that history, it's hard to imagine, isn't it? How can you do that? How can you go from being, believed to be less than as a human being to being the president who unites a country? Amazing things are meant to happen. Miracles are meant to happen. Every day is meant to be a living miracle. That's what we're here to witness. That's what we're here to embody. That's what we're here to be. And I don't think we can do it without activating that power of faith first, without really getting clear that we stand in a place of knowing what we know. I think of faith, I define faith as a knowing in my heart. So there's a sense of I can feel it, I resonate with it, I know it, I can't always explain it, I can't necessarily prove it, but it doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter because I can stand on it, I can trust it, I can more than trust it, I have conviction and confidence. So when we can find those places in our lives, and I just really encourage you to do that, to begin to maybe journal about what do I have great conviction in? What do I really stand on? Where am I rock solid in my knowing? And build from there, because then you can just translate that into the other areas of life where you're needing that boost, where you haven't yet come with those faithful eyes, where you haven't yet come with that open, faithful heart that can greet that aspect of life so fully. So, faith, it is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things unseen, we're told in Hebrews. The assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things unseen. So that is what we hold to. That is what we know in faith. So what would you do? Because you are brave. You sang it already before we started. You are filled with faith. And so what is it that you're holding? Bring that to mind once again. I invite you to bring that into your heart, into your mind, or maybe you didn't catch something earlier and something new will arise, or something will arise. And just as you begin to connect with that, recognize that you've already listened. You've already moved through that step of faith. You've already listened because you know what it is. And that a part of you already believes it's so. A part of you can already see it already done. Part of you can see yourself already moved through a challenge or already creating what it is that you imagine creating. And we gain trust then as we release any doubt or fear, as we let go of the limiting ideas that might come to trip us up. And we just say no to those. This has no power over me. I free myself from doubt. I free myself from worry. I release thoughts of suffering or doubts of what is possible. And as then more and more trust comes in, so too that we begin to claim now in fullness our faith, that I am emotionally and physically and mentally and spiritually fit to be the truth of who I've come to be. And in this particular area that you're holding, affirming that truth and claiming that truth. So use the location in the body, use the color, use the affirmations and the intentions, and notice when you get off course, when you get out of the groove of faith, that all you have to do is just a quick step back in, a quick step back into the truth, a remembrance of when you do feel confident, what it is that you do know without challenge or without doubt. And feel that, allow it to run through your body and your mind and your heart, and that then boosts us into this powerful place of faith that begins the activation of the whole system, that begins the rising up of the whole consciousness that we are after. So whatever it is that you're holding and more is possible. Anything is possible. All kinds of miracles happen every day. We simply open to them. So let's know that truth, that anything is possible. Have a confidence about that and affirm it together. I am confident that anything is possible. Let's affirm that together. I am confident that anything is possible. And so it is.
Thank you, Kristen. Put the mic up here. Our prayer chaplains are available after the service to provide personal prayer support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, please stand. Our prayer chaplains are wearing their lavender stoles. And whether you have a joy or a concern on your heart today, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up in consciousness. I want to introduce somebody today to you. Susan Angelos, who's a really good friend of mine, we became members on the exact same Sunday together, so we always had a little bonding thing, is a board member chair of our fall fundraiser, co-leader of our community action team. Oh, there she is. Hi, Susan. Usher, member of the marketing team. She also sends out the weekly electronic Center Point. Susan would like to tell you today about how Unity has impacted her life.
I knew as soon as he raised that up that that wasn't going to work. So. Reverend Kristen asked me to say a little bit about what Unity has meant to me. You can't know what Unity meant to me until I take you back to 2015. My marriage had ended. My long-time job that I loved very much, the company was failing. It was I had had some health problems. And I had one of those big 0 birthdays. Yeah. And my heart was frozen solid. I came to Unity because I had heard of it and somebody said, yeah, they've changed. So I was driving, I was actually on my way to Petrini's, and I saw the sign again, and my car went. Remember that 2x4 Reverend Kristen was talking about? That's the one. I came in here and the first thing I heard from Reverend David MacArthur was, no matter whether you worship at home, on the hillside, in a cathedral, or in a church, we are all one. Seeking to know me. And I thought, okay, I'm listening. And for the next 3 Sundays, he spoke to me. There were other people in the room, but he spoke to me. And I said, okay, this is my tribe. And the next person that I met on a personal basis was Susan Monroe, and she welcomed me to the tribe, as only Susan can do. She is the reason why I am still here. The next person I met was Lisa Nichols, who got me involved in the crafting, who got me involved in the fall fundraiser, and who introduced me to Mike McGarvey so that I became an usher. Within a month, I was here, and my heart began to thaw. And each one of you, and there are many of us here, many people who have touched me. This is Unity. All of you are Unity to me. My faith never lost me, and I never lost it. But my heart is thawed, and people say, somebody just said to me, what would Unity do without you? You do so much here. What would Unity do without you? Let me tell you, it's the other way around. Without Unity, I would not be here. Thank you.
Mic up. Thanks, Susan. So consider how Unity has impacted your life as you prepare your gift today to support this ministry that supports and inspires so many. Because we know in truth there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature. For your convenience, there are a variety of ways to financially give to this community. For credit card donations, you can use PushPay on your smartphone or take an envelope from the back of the seat in front of you. Those of you at home can donate by using PushPay or click the donate button on the Watch Live page. So I invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat the affirmation with me. Together, divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
Everybody falls sometimes. Gotta find the strength to rise from the ashes. is more than you can take, but you are stronger, stronger than you know. Don't you give up now, the sun will soon be shining. You've gotta face the clouds to find the silver lining. I've seen dreams that move the mountains, hope that doesn't ever end, even when the sky is falling. I've seen miracles just happen, silent prayers get answered, broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. It doesn't matter what you've heard, impossible is not a word. It's just a reason for someone not to try. Everybody's scared to death when they decide to take that step out on the water. It'll be alright. Life is so much more than what your eyes are seeing. You will find a way if you keep believing. I've seen dreams that move the mountains, hope that doesn't ever end, even when the sky is falling. I've seen miracles just happen, silent prayers go answered, broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. Overcome the odds, you don't have a chance. That's what faith can do. When the world says you can't, it'll tell you that it can. I've seen dreams that move the mountains, hope that doesn't ever end, even when the sky is falling. I've seen miracles just happen, silent prayers get answered, broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. That's what faith can do. That's what faith can do.
So let's take a moment to give thanks for these gifts that are a representation of the gifts of you, the gifts of us, the gifts of our community. That we continue to move forward with deep faith, broad faith, with abundant faith, to do the things that ought to be done by each of us and all of us. Let's bless this together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is.
We are marching in the light of God. today. The Wild Youth are going to do their kids camp July 14th at Lafayette Reservoir. So more information will be given out to you. But yay! Go the Wild Youth! And Kylo is going to sing the peace song.
Okay, well, let's bless you first, and then you can have the mic when we do the peace song. How about that? Okay. Let's bless our children, youth, and teachers together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. And now we invite you to take your neighbor's hand as we close out with our prayer of protection, followed by the peace song. Together? The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
And have fun!